Good evening and welcome to Election Playbook. My name is Rudo Gunduza. We continue with our conversation about the elections. It's 8 days to go and the countdown continues. The race is heating up. Our candidates are on the ground. They are running. And we want to hear from you, the voter. Have you attended any rallies recently? What is the message that you're getting? We want to hear from you. If you're hearing us loud and clear, press the like button and tell us where you're joining us from. In studio with me tonight, I have Acie Lumumba and Acie Gumbo. Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to the show.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Great. We had a fantastic show last night, and we had a bet on the show between Acie and Acie. It was to do with the rally that happened, the MDC rally that took place in Bulawayo yesterday. Let's hear what this bet was about.
About the beams of the
Acie likes
I'll put $1,000 on it.
Okay,
but
the bet is on.
The bet is on.
Let's make it
All right,
happen.
let's do this.
Let's make it happen.
Acie.
I want to put a public bet, okay? White City was beaming with white people. I quote him verbatim. If you, whether today or even in fact, we can do this the first thing in the next show. Anybody who's watching right now, if you can show me a picture of 20 white people, just 20, only 20, who were at the MDC rally today, I will give this man $1,000.
Okay, I'll let you have your bet again.
If he can prove
Let's make it happen.
only 20. I'm not even going to talk about the beams of the
Acie likes
I'll put $1,000 on it.
Okay,
but
the bet is on.
The bet is on.
Let's make it
All right,
happen.
let's do this.
Let's make it happen.
in case you missed that is a bet between Acie Lumumba and Acie Gumbo. We're going to play it again, but we want to know from you, are you team Acie, are you team Lumumba, or are you team Acie? Send a message, just write a comment to show us which team you're on. And if you have any pictures of that rally, please post them on the page. Acie.
I want to put a public bet, okay? White City was beaming with white people. I quote him verbatim. If you, whether today or even in fact, we can do this the first thing in the next show. Anybody who's watching right now, if you can show me a picture of 20 white people, just 20, only 20, who were at the MDC rally today, I will give this man $1,000.
Okay, I'll let you have your bet again.
If he can prove
Let's make it happen.
only 20. I'm not even going to talk about the beams of the
Acie likes
I'll
to
put
throw
$1,000
these
on it.
Okay,
but
the bet is on.
The bet is on.
Acie.
Let's make it
All right,
happen.
let's do this.
Let's make it happen.
today, did you come up with any pictures?
Well, the bet was put out not only to Acie Gumbo, it was put out to the people of Zimbabwe in their entirety. And photojournalists have been coming in with pictures of the white people that were at White City Stadium. It's a bet, and not necessarily a material point of the debate. There is a picture of some white people who were at Nelson Chamisa's rally. And like I indicated in my sentiments yesterday, that Nelson Chamisa is a unifier. He's a person who calls out for inclusivity in the way that he does his things and in the way that he's conducting his campaign. So Acie Lumumba is expecting 20 people seated in one place. We give him multiple people, multiple white people, sparsed within the crowds.
Acie, do you agree? Is he winning this bet?
Well, okay, so lying is not a good thing, okay? And it's a Sunday, and especially if you want to administer a country. I mean, Zanu PF is attacked a lot for telling a lot of lies for a long time. And so lying is not good. And I'm sure Acie, who's very close to Nelson Chamisa, takes after Nelson Chamisa in telling the truth or the lie. So, verbatim, he said yesterday that the stadium was beaming, okay? Beaming is not like sports, okay? Beaming is they are everywhere. The stadium was beaming with white people. I didn't want to damage, see, because Acie is my friend and so is Nelson. I didn't want to expose them as people who lie too much. But for you to understand the grandiosity of the lie, I made the bed even easier. I said, show me 20, just 20, and I will give him $1,000 right now, right now. And as you can see on the screen, I mean, we can't see the screen, but if they are, maybe he just didn't have the pictures, and the pictures actually do exist. But if these pictures are there, and the pictures can come out, Rudo, I will, right now, on this show, wire $1,000 to pictures that validate that MDC is not full of liars. This is the very handicap I have with the presidency of Nelson Chamisa. I mean, the guy gets up and it's like anotogarwa nemweya wekunyepa. Hezo manje shawiracho rakubata basapota vakuona zisipo. No wonder why if we get to election day mujataka kunonzi no tavetera na 3 million maona kupi vanhu vese vave 3 million ovota mnakuvaona here. We can't even count the number of people in a stadium. We call them beaming.
This is going to be interesting because we will see whether there will be pictures
by the time the show ends.
By the time the show ends. So please continue with your comments. Continue to tell us whether you're Team Acie or Team Agency. But in the meantime, you know we have an outstanding issue, and that is ZEC. We did not have enough time for it yesterday, but it's burning. The opposition had issue. They've got the grievances, and on top of that, on Friday we had a so-called expose of the ZEC chairperson. Acie, can you break this situation down for us?
So first of all, no, I cannot. But what I can break down is there is nothing that the opposition is going to say or try and do that is going to stop ZEC from performing their function on July 30 of carrying out an election. ZEC is going to carry out an election because ZEC is not an individual. I understand when you come from a party like MDC, we used to have it in Zanu PF. When you come from a party like Zanu PF under Robert Mugabe, you believe that everything is centralized on the one center of power, and that's the person who makes all the shots. Whatever Priscilla Chigumba is doing or not doing has got absolutely nothing to do with the institution if she's doing it in her bedroom, at her house, with whoever she wants to do it with. But of course, you're going to hear MDC obsessing with what Priscilla does when she's not at work.
My point of departure will be, if someone has got the tenacity to rig a marriage, what confidence should we as the people of Zimbabwe have in that same person, and that they will not rig the marriage of the people to the change that delivers?
But the MDC
that summarizes the character of the person of the ZEC chairperson. What I've just said there, it summarizes the character of the person. She is captured not only by the state in the mold of Zanu PF, but she's captured even sexually by certain elements within Zanu PF itself.
This is ridiculous.
So, to then try to insinuate that the relationship that she has in private does not hamper on her integrity when she serves on an institution like ZEC is really shallow. But ZEC requires one thing. Let me tell you something about public institutions and their demand for a higher yardstick of integrity. You cannot run an institution that administers elections, and yet as an individual you are not of a doubtable personality or character. That's already a problem that the opposition has stated from the word go, that Priscilla Chigumba is captured. Whatever election she's going to preside over, regardless of the fact that ZEC, because by mandate, is going to preside over an election, she is captured, and whatever election she's going to preside over is a flawed process. And the government has got to address this, the SADC has got to address this. I'm very happy to state that today our president, Nelson Chamisa, made it very clear that there is a delegation that is jetted in from Angola. Mind you, Angola is the chairperson of the Defense, Peace and Security Committee within the SADC component. And a delegation led by the foreign minister of Angola has jetted into the country and is going to be meeting with the MDC and the civic society tomorrow, which is Monday. So already it shows you that the calls and the clamors of the opposition, the calls and the clamors of the people of Zimbabwe, as represented by the president of the people, Nelson Chamisa, have been heeded to by the SADC bloc and have been heeded to by the African Union itself. Even Kofi Annan made it very clear that the election had to go in the right way, and that every reasonable demand that was being tabled by the people of Zimbabwe had to be taken care of. Remember, our country has a bad precedent of disputed elections. We have a bad precedent of disputed electoral processes coupled with intimidation, military involvement, and even electoral malpractices by the body, ZEC itself. We do not want to have a repeat of yesteryear. We do not want to have a repeat where the people's vote and the people's victory is rigged by certain elements within Zanu PF.
The reality of the situation is MDC is highly intimidated by intelligence, let alone, worst of all, if the intelligence is in women. The moment a woman is intelligent, MDC must crush the woman. Look at you want to talk about precedents? Look at the precedents of what MDC have done to women. What do you mean that this woman is rigged sexually? Morgan Tsvangirai used to sleep with Zanu PF women. Morgan Tsvangirai was married to a Zanu PF woman. Morgan Tsvangirai Nelson Chamisa is sleeping with Zanu PF women. What do you mean that Justice Chikuba is rigged? Because sexually. Now, he then goes on to say, hold on, he goes on to say Angola is jetting in. The chairman Angola chairs the SADC Committee on Peace and Security. No, they don't. Angola chairs the Troika Protocol, which is actually only ending in a month's time. So in a month's time, what Angola thinks or doesn't think doesn't matter. But the error is not in the fact that he called the title, the committee the wrong thing. The error is he thinks Angola is coming here for him. So for MDC, Angola, SADC, AU, the Americans, the EU, anybody who is coming to the elections, MDC needs to get themselves out of the mindset that they're coming for MDC. You know why you should get out of that mindset? You are not invited. You are not the ones who invited them. Angola is not coming because MDC invited them. Angola is coming because Emmerson Mnangagwa invited them. They wouldn't be here if he didn't invite them. Now, does Emmerson Mnangagwa need the legitimacy of Angola? What is the trade balance between Zimbabwe and Angola? Less than 1% of our GDP. We don't need nothing from Angola, by the way. We need absolutely nothing from Angola right now. We can survive without them. The people we really need on the continent, you've got South Africa. 70% of our trade is going to South Africa. That's a country we need. They are currently the outgoing chair of SADC. So we need South Africa way more. And Cyril Ramaphosa has already endorsed Emmerson Mnangagwa. You tell me who has endorsed Chamisa. One person. Just tell me one person who has endorsed Chamisa. From anywhere.
You see, it's not wise to peddle lies in front of our viewers.
Except you still can't show us
it is not, well, that's not material. We'll get to that. But let's get to the nitty-gritty. Let's not trivialize matters of national importance and matters.
Sex is not a matter of national importance.
Let's not trivialize
Sex
that.
Is
so
not let me
get. Why are you so afraid of listening to what I've got to say to you?
I don't like the way you demonize women.
Why are you so afraid of listening to the facts? Because you cannot run away from facts.
Okay,
Agency.
Why are you running away from the pit of knowledge?
Agency, listen to what this viewer says. This is Marcy Wilkes. She says, what business have we got checking women outside of their work?
Right.
Why don't men also go through the same scrutiny?
So here's the thing. Let me break down something. Rudo, let me break down something for you here. For purposes of educating my colleague here. I was about to call him learned, but for fear of insulting the learned ones, I will desist. So you cannot possibly tell me that there is no significance in the relationship that was exposed, that of the ZEC chairperson and one of the senior leaders
exposed
of Zanu
PF. Exposed how?
So
exposed
it's
how?
in the public domain.
You want to talk about facts?
It's in the public domain. Let me get into it.
By a tweet.
So there is what we call, in the realm of professional conduct, there's what we call a conflict of interest. Whenever Justice Chigumba, I respect her as a fellow lawyer. I respect her as an officer of the court and as a judge. As a matter of fact, she presided over my registration as a lawyer. So I respect her as a lawyer. And as a lawyer, she understands that whenever it's a matter of public interest, conflict of interest can never be an underlying factor of your duties. The moment there is raised a challenge to whatever relationship you might have over a process you preside over and the people that are participating in the same process, you are already unfit to continue presiding over such a process. It's basic principles of professionalism, and I don't understand how Lumumba doesn't get this. And now then he says you demonize women. It's quite interesting. MDC does not demonize women. If anything, President Nelson Chamisa has come out defending the rights of women. He has come out to give women most effective roles even in his own campaign.
Like which
women are working on the ground. We have female candidates right now all over the country. So to say they're demonizing women, let's come back. Let's come back to the gist of the matter. The gist of the matter is about ZEC as an institution being captured. The gist of the matter is not about which women is participating where. Remember, Priscilla Chigumba is not a politician. Priscilla Chigumba is a public servant who is serving in a public institution. So then to try and bring examples or synergies between her and people who are participating in the political act where they are actually elected by the electorate is absurd. It's absurd and it cannot be phantomed. It shows you the mentality that Zanu PF has. Zanu PF thinks that state institutions are an extension of its rule, are an extension of its organs, of which it is not. Zanu PF is a political party. When it's in government, it's there because it's got the mandate of the people. It should therefore not utilize or take advantage of such a mandate to manipulate institutions that are supposed to serve public interest. ZEC is captured. Priscilla Chigumba is captured. The process that she's presiding over is a flawed process. This is the gist of the debate. That's the gist of the debate. Let's not veer the people of Zimbabwe away from what we should be talking about. This is the great question of the day.
Agency Gumbo has put a couple of syllogisms in place. One of their syllogisms is put in place is that Priscilla Chigumba is captured. She is captured because she is having sex with someone who is from Zanu PF, hence she is captured. Now, let me help.
Not just someone, Acie Lumumba. Be clear.
Okay, a cabinet minister.
I did not say a cabinet minister, you just told us yourself.
Okay, I just told you. Now, Agency Kumba is a lawyer. In fact, I actually think he's an okay lawyer. He's represented me and I got out of jail before, so I think he's an okay lawyer. Now, I'm not even a lawyer. And I know that surely, if I said right now that Rudo is having an affair with Agency, surely that's not a matter of fact. Surely you deserve an investigation. Surely we deserve to even investigate if that affects your ability to conduct this interview. I asked a simple question. You are calling it a fact. He calls it a fact. I said, how is that a fact? He says it's in the public domain. Where? What public domain? Because one person said it. What person? A conflicted person. Now, if it was said by an independent party, I would say, okay, we got some intelligence from an independent party. A conflicted Edmund Kudzai, a homosexual, who's already conflicted with his own sexuality, now wants to take Priscilla's sexuality and now wants to tell us about how Priscilla should or who she's having sex with. I think it's none of our business who you're having sex with, Rudo. And if you want to have sex with anybody, Rudo, you go do that. It is unfair for a party that demonizes women. He says they don't demonize women. He says they promote them. And Nelson Chamisa has made sure women are very busy in the party. Did you hear where he said they're busy at? He said women are very busy in the party. They are running around on the ground doing work. That's where women are supposed to be in MDC. Then he said, we have plenty of women who are contesting. How many? 7. 7 women out of 210 seats. He calls that plenty. I don't think he's lying. He's telling the truth. They just think 7 is a lot of seats. That's why there is nobody in the principles of MDC who is a woman. That's why Nelson Chamisa has not announced his vice presidents, because he doesn't want us to know he doesn't care about women. That's why there's no shadow cabinet, because if there was a shadow cabinet, there would be no women. You can't, they will attack Priscilla until even we replace Priscilla. As long as it is a woman, these people are not prepared to see a woman anywhere near power. To MDC, women belong on the ground. Like he has said, I quote him verbatim.
So, I'm touched because my fellow colleague here from Zanu PF's submissions lack focus and particularity. He's all over the place, but nowhere at the same time. We make mention of the conflicted nature of the chairman of ZEC because it barrows down to her ability to execute her duties as is required by the Constitution and by the Electoral Act. You therefore cannot honestly...
But tell us how.
Let me get to it. Let me get to it, Lumumba. Take it easy. You cannot honestly in your right mind, tell me that Priscilla Chigumba, if she's having an affair, now she's having an affair now with the cabinet minister because apparently Acie is the valve of Zanu PF intelligence. That's where it all comes out. So she's having an affair with the cabinet minister who is an appointee of Emmerson Mnangagwa. She is presiding over an election in which her lover's boss is contesting. If you don't find any conflict in there, I need to get someone else to debate me here.
Agency, what do you say? One of the elders from the Elders Council, Mary Robinson, the former president of the Prime Minister of Ireland, said that she was shocked on the attacks and vilification and threats directed at the ZEC chair. What do you say about that?
He's not shocked.
Well,
he's impressed.
We are not shocked. Remember, Chigumba represents the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. Chigumba is the ultimate decision maker within that particular institution, together with her commissioners. And to then say that she's being vilified because the people and the citizens are coming out with the legitimate and reasonable expectations from her office is totally unfathomable. It's totally unacceptable. Of course, you know, the honorable diplomat might have said what she thought was the prevailing situation. But we, the people of Zimbabwe, have come out in our numbers, and we, the people of Zimbabwe, have petitioned the same institution. We, the people of Zimbabwe, have made claims, we have made demands on the Zanu PF government, not just in the past few months, remember. These are demands that have been made even before Priscilla Chigumba herself was chair. When Rita Makarao, Justice Rita Makarao was chairperson, the same demands were leveled. The same demands have not been met by Zanu PF and its by ZEC and its machinery. So to say that she's being vilified because citizens are demanding that which they are constitutionally mandated to demand, I don't see any form of vilification there. Let's come back to the most important play here. We are going to an election. And an election is not just the day that the ballot is cast. An election has got to encompass the process prior to the casting of the ballot and the process post. So if we dispute the process prior to the casting of the ballot, the casting of the ballot itself, you know, it's a one-day event. But the process prior to the casting of the ballot is an event that takes quite a reasonable amount of time. So we have been disputing that which has been happening during the process prior to the casting of the ballot. And to then say that because people are demanding that the person at the top of the institution accounts to the public, and to say that it is vilification of the said person, it's totally absurd.
Rudo, please, read what the elder said again.
Let me just go back to that. She said that she was shocked at the attacks and vilification and threats directed at ZEC chair, Justice Priscilla Chigumba.
I would want to know one threat.
An agency said he is not shocked. He is not shocked that there are threats, that there is vilification going towards the Justice Chigumba. I can understand if you differ with her. If somebody began to throw threats at him on my platform, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not because I don't think, not because I think he's right, but there is absolutely no justice in anybody attacking agency on this program simply because he sees things differently. As a lawyer, he's way more learned than I am, I guess, but as a lawyer, I would have assumed that there is a legal process by which when you have a challenge or you have a problem, you take that problem to the police, to the courts, to a tribunal, to SADC like you were talking about, to Angola like you were talking about. I would have assumed that there is a process, and for a political party led by a lawyer, supported by lawyers, I would have thought they would have taken that, that as the sequence of inquiry. But to then say we are not even shocked that people are doing something else, I find that completely reflectory of the type of political party, again, that we are speaking about here. I think it is despicable. Whether she was even in bed with an MDC supporter or an MDC official, there is absolutely no justice in anybody saying, I am not surprised. Justice, I mean, come on.
So,
and you are the party that unifies.
So there's not any threats that we have heard of.
I think what has been happening is that on social media, this debate about the chairman of ZEC has been raging, and a few people have probably had their tempers flared and have been abusive.
So let me qualify the demands of the people. There's not been any threats to Justice Priscilla Chikumba's life that I know of, or that the party knows of, that the alliance knows of, that the leadership of the party knows of. I have not heard of any. If there is any, Justice Priscilla Chikumba is a judge of high repute. She knows what to do when you are threatened with murder. When you are threatened, when there's a direct threat to your life, she will not take that easily. I know her, she's 10. That's not something that she'll sit around and move around dilly-dallying and not address with the police. So if that has happened to her, as Acie says, I would encourage her to go and report the matter to the police and let the police handle the matter and deal with it.
You want to
so
go
there
to
is
the
no,
police.
there is
you
what
go on the street.
there is not any provision within our laws and constitution that suggests that going on the streets and petitioning a government institution is illegal. If anything, the Constitution actually gives demonstrations and petitions as a tool to the citizens that they can use in order to have government respond to their needs and their call. So yes, I agree with you. There are platforms that people can follow. They can go to the courts, they can go to tribunals. Has that been done? Yes, it has. The demonstrations in the streets, is that illegal? As a lawyer, I'll tell you, it's not illegal. We don't have to go to the police. We don't have to go and report. This is a constitutional channel and platform that we are utilizing and we are using to ensure that the government institution abides by the very dictates of the Constitution that empowers us. Let me also address the issue of the office of the ZEC chair. There is not any direct attacks on it. She can sleep with whoever she wants for all we care, just as long as it does not conflict the duties that she has got to execute as per the Constitution for the people of Zimbabwe. The Constitution is the supreme law of the country. Her office is the creature of the same Constitution. Trust me, if today she steps down, she resigns, and someone else takes over that office as ZEC chair, our issue then becomes with the person who takes over that office, because it's the office that we require to execute the mandate that it was given by the people of Zimbabwe through the Constitution. It is not about Justice Gumba and who she's sleeping with just like that. It's about the conflicted nature of your relationship with the said cabinet minister.
So should we vet women maybe? I mean, maybe when women apply for top jobs, maybe we should vet them and we should ask women. And I actually hope we can move past this now, because I think we've overexhausted it. Yeah. But maybe we should vet women and ask them, who are you sleeping with? And women should tell us who they're sleeping with. Maybe the next time his girlfriend or wife tries to go and apply for a job and the company is owned by a Zanu PF official or a Zanu PF beneficiary, we should ask his wife, who are you sleeping with? And if the wife says, I'm sleeping with the agency, oh, you're conflicted. We can't have anybody sleeping with MDC in this building because this is Zanu PF money. But again, I think I really think
I think we need to take a short break because this debate is now turning to be about Justice Tigumba and who she's sleeping with, and I don't think that is what the voters need to hear right now.
Okay.
So we'll take a short break. Agency.
I want to put a public bet, okay? White City was beaming with white people. I quote him verbatim.
Okay.
If you, whether today or even in fact, we can do this the first thing in the next show. Okay. Anybody who's watching right now, if you can show me a picture of 20 white people, just 20, only 20, who were at the MDC rally today, I will give this man $1,000.
Okay, I'll let you have your bet again.
If he can do
let's make it happen.
Just only 20. I'm not even going to talk about the beams of them.
Acie
just
likes
20. I'll put $1,000 on it.
Okay, but the bet is on.
The bet is on.
Let's make it
happen.
Let's do this. Let's make it happen.
Welcome back to Election Playbook. Before the break, we were discussing the ZEC issue with the chairman, Justice Priscilla Chigumba, coming under fire from Agency and Lumumba. We want to know from you whether you're Team Agency or Team Lumumba. Write in the comments and also tell us where you are watching from. Gentlemen, we want to look at what was going on the ground today with regards to our playfield. The players, today we had Nelson Chamisa having a rally in Gweru. We want to know, how did that go, and do you think he spoke to the people of Gweru? Acie, what do you think of today's rally?
Nelson Chamisa going to Gweru is, you know, that's him trying to test his strength in an ED supposed stronghold. Because Gweru is in Midlands. Generally, ED is considered a Midlands guy, and he wanted to test his muscle. Do I think he did well in Midlands? Yes. Again, I have always said I think Chamisa is the only serious candidate to talk about who can put up a fight against ED. So if we're judging on did the numbers come out, yes, they came out. If we're judging by and then what after the numbers came out, it was absolutely empty. I mean, I listened to the guy speak deliberately because I knew the show was coming, and I wanted to pay attention to a couple of things. Number one, how many times he says Mnangagwa's name. And he spoke for 1 hour, 3 minutes. 1 hour, 3 minutes. In 1 hour, 3 minutes, he said Emmerson Mnangagwa's name 34 times. Now, in the same 1 hour, 3 minutes, he did not explain anything about how he was actually going to solve any problem. He spoke about the problems he wants to solve. He did not say one word about how he was going to solve any problem. Whether he was speaking about infrastructure, whether he was speaking about the cash crisis, whether he was speaking about the trade deficit, whether he was speaking about international engagement, whether he was speaking about what it is that should happen to those who are in the opposition. Not one statement did not, and I hope he's going to rebuttal it and tell me what I missed, because I watched all of it. Not one statement did Nelson Chamisa actually say how he's going to create one job. He did not talk about how one job is going to be created. So when I look at the rally, as far as the numbers are concerned, if you can put that type of crowd, you've got a followership, and that's good. But now that you've got a followership, it's like now that you have their attention, what do you intend to do with it? Absolutely nothing. It's like he is obsessed with talking about Emmerson Mnangagwa. His rally speaks more about Emmerson Mnangagwa than it even speaks about the Zimbabwean people. That it even speaks about, I heard nothing about the health sector. I heard nothing about how they're going to fix the problem with the health sector. I heard nothing about how they're going to fix the problem with the education sector. I heard nothing about how they're going to create jobs. I heard a whole lot of imaginary utopian solutions, so not even solutions, utopian problems that he has identified that he says, I will solve. How? Not a single statement.
Agency, do you think Nelson Chamisa spoke to the voters today in Gweru?
Okay, first of all, Midlands is not President Mnangagwa's stronghold. It's on record he's lost to Honorable Blessing Chebundo, not once. In Midlands. So how is that his stronghold? Because Ndoku Mushakwake, I don't know how that mathematics adds up. Let me not dwell so much on that. President Nelson Chamisa made it very clear that it's not enough to talk about Zimbabwe being open for business when you do not create a conducive environment within the country to ensure that investment flows and flows freely. He spoke about the hypocrisy that the incumbent government has in luring foreign investment, and yet they cannot protect their sons of the soil who are willing and who have been investing in the country for a long time. He gave a couple of examples. You know, I'll throw in the Mutunga Maweres, I'll throw in the Strive Masiwas, who are big captains of industries, renowned in the world over, but are still afraid to come and, you know, be resident in their own country. And they all claim that the environment is not conducive for them to do business that is overreaching. So he made a promise and a pledge to the people of Zimbabwe that when he gets into office, there's going to be deliberate attempt, or there's going to be a deliberate act and action towards sanitizing the policy framework of the country, sanitizing the economic and commerce environment of the country, to ensure that investment that flows within the country is secure, and to also ensure that investment that is coming from outside the country, which is foreign direct investment, by the way, is also secure, and to guarantee investor confidence and to guarantee, the investor security. So these are the pledges that the President of the people has made to the people of Zimbabwe. And these are pledges that resonate very well with the need and demand of the entire, deprived economic element of our country. It's a demand that the country's economics has got to be revamped to a stage where it competes with, international and world-based standards. There's a direct commitment and obligation that the President Nelson Chamisa has put on him and the government and his government, which is in waiting. Now, let me just also make some comments on the fact that ED was mentioned 32 times or 34 times. It's amazing why you would listen to a speech and count how many times a name has been mentioned. But anyway, remember, Emmerson Mnangagwa Mnangagwa represents the incumbent. Emmerson Mnangagwa represents the government. So it becomes irrelevant to speak about the solutions you are proffering without making reference to where the problem came from. It's very pertinent that people understand where the problem comes from so that they can appreciate that the alternative solution is reasonable in the circumstances. So how many times and what it doesn't arise. But what arises really is the pledge that the people's president has made to the people to say, when we get into government, come the 3rd of July, we are taking this country back to where it's supposed to be on the economic graph.
Agency, what do you say to the school of thought that, maybe that's giving too much mileage? When you're continually talking about your opponent, you know what they say, no publicity is bad publicity. Do you not think that it's almost like you are reinforcing somebody's name into the minds of the voters? Do you think it's a good idea to continue to talk about President Emmerson Mnangagwa so much?
You see, I had the occasion to listen to the president's address. And probably we listen with different intentions. And we all hear, but we understand differently. To then try to make Mnangagwa a major highlight of Chamisa's presentation today, or President Chamisa's speech today, is an understatement. There are issues of national relevance that the president raised. The president answered the pertinent questions of the day, pertinent questions relating to food security within the country. He made sure that he addressed the issue of the Midlands agricultural program. And, these are commitments that the president in waiting is making to the people of Zimbabwe. Those are the most important things that we should be talking about now. To then say we discuss semantics of how many times Mnangagwa was mentioned, there are serious questions of the day that the people should continuously be reminded of, and that there are serious alternatives that are being proffered by the MDC Alliance and its leadership that the people of Zimbabwe must continuously be reminded of. There is a smart way of restoring the legacy of Zimbabwe.
Without wanting to be too hard, okay? I'll touch on what he mentioned. So he said that President Nelson Chamisa spoke about guaranteeing protection for foreign direct investment. Right before that, he was going on about how President Nelson Chamisa said he will protect the local investor first.
Can I interject?
The more important question, okay, if you can even disregard that, the most important question is, please tell me how. Tell me what he said on how do you protect the investor? Tell me what he said today.
about, so if an investor was listening and they heard the pledge of your president, how is he going to protect the so-called investor who wants to bring FDI? What did he say about that?
So, prior to me then making a deliberate example or deliberate pick from the president's presentation, I said that there was a commitment to sanitize the legal framework of the country and also the policy inconsistencies that are in the country.
How, agency? How?
Do you want me to take you through the process of legislative reform?
I want you to tell me how Nelson Chamisa...
Is that what you want me to take you through?
I want you to tell me how Nelson Chamisa is going to make foreign direct investment guarantee its safety. How is he going to do that? How do you guarantee that?
The law of the land, the policies that are set up by government are what ensures that guarantee. Okay. So I need you to be able to find the nexus between that example of guaranteeing foreign investment and the submission that there's going to be sanitization of the policy framework of the country. We agreed in the previous debate that we have had a bit of policy inconsistencies in the country. Not a bit, actually, a lot of policy inconsistencies in the country with legislation that was passed that did not give investor confidence, whether either local or international. So this is what the president is coming to say the first mandate that is going to have as the president is to ensure that we sanitize the laws of the land, ensure we align the laws of this land to the constitution that was agreed on by the citizens of Zimbabwe. Ensure that we pass on legislation that guarantees to say if you come and you put your money into Zimbabwe, you do business with us, and you make your profit. You can still reap your profits and take back your profits to wherever you're coming from. But the country has benefited. The people of Zimbabwe have benefited. If you are a local, if you are Strive Masiwa, if you are Mutunga Mawere, and you want to do business in the country, we want to make sure that we also, don't cloud you or make sure you're not covered in all these foreign investors to an extent that you cannot also participate in your own economy. We ensure the possible participation of our people, possible participation of the people that are coming from outside Zimbabwe, because we will have a legal framework that allows for that. We will guarantee property rights.
These are the people who we want to take over the country. Strive Masiwa. I don't know what has qualified Nelson Chamisa to speak on behalf of Strive Masiwa, but
he didn't speak on behalf.
Okay, but let's deal with the issue with Strive Masiwa. I don't know how Strive Masiwa is challenged in doing business in Zimbabwe when the biggest company in Zimbabwe is Strive Masiwa's company, when the fourth biggest company in Zimbabwe is Strive Masiwa's company, when the ninth biggest company in the country is Strive Masiwa's country. Strive Masiwa has just got a license from the very government that you are saying is not conducive for Strive Masiwa to build, to bring in Kwese. Something that was failed by the international subsidiaries of MultiChoice, even when they tried to come in through this wasn't WeStech, through the other terrestrial platform they're trying to bring in. I don't understand at all, and I really hope that you can explain it, because otherwise, if you don't understand, then we have a real problem if MDC is saying things they don't understand. How is Strive Masiwa not allowed or not able or not interested in coming home? Because his statement, Strive Masiwa's public statement on the matter is, in Zimbabwe, I am well represented. One of the highest paid CEOs in this country, a Zimbabwean, in Douglas Mboweni, is the one who's running Econet Group in Zimbabwe. Strive Masiwa is a global businessman. He doesn't have to be in Zimbabwe. Help me understand, which part does Strive Masiwa have a problem with that you are speaking about, and how you guys are solving Strive Masiwa's problem?
It's amazing that it has turned to be two moderators against one panelist, and I'll nonetheless try to come with a direct response to your questions, Acie Lumumba. The fact that Econet is thriving in Zimbabwe, the fact that Strive Masiwa has multiple companies in Zimbabwe, doesn't necessarily mean that the business environment is thriving. Strive Masiwa is an entrepreneur. I don't want to make this debate about Strive Masiwa anyway, but we have a lot of entrepreneurs who come into Zimbabwe and they do work, who come into Zimbabwe and they thrive. Every person, every businessman that you'll meet today in Zimbabwe, every businessman who's objective, they will tell you that we are surviving. Our businesses are surviving because the environment is not conducive for businesses to stay afloat. Some of them have got to do a lot of unthinkable things. Some of them have got to retrench a lot of workers, which is why the labor code today is burdened with a lot of people who have been retrenched from their workplaces. Why is this so? It's because there is no room for growth. There is not an environment that allows any company to expand beyond that which it has been in the past decade. We have companies that are making minimal profits, whereas they should be making, high and maximum profits in this country. We have businesses that have remained the same for the past 20 years, not because they're not operating, but because there isn't room for expansion. There isn't room for them to compete at a global level and a global stage. You speak of the Kwesa debacle. You are peddling falsehoods, Mr. Lumumba, because the Kwesa fight, Strive Masiwa got the license after fighting the same government in the High Court. We all know what happened when Strive Masiwa tried to launch Kwesa in Zimbabwe initially. We know he got the license because of a High Court judgment, after his lawyers had fought tooth and nail to make sure he wins the case. So to then try to say he got the license as if it was given freely and upon application is absurd. We know Strive Masiwa got the ECONET license after court fights. Strive Masiwa got the Kwesa license after court fights. So let's not bring there. Let's not bring it there. Let's make it about the people of Zimbabwe and the business divide of Zimbabwe, not about Strive Masiwa alone.
Let's move away from Strive Masiwa, because then it just becomes a debate about Strive Masiwa.
True.
What we want is to know the message.
True.
Lumumba, there is a point that I would want you to respond to, which agency said earlier on. And that was the point where he says that Gweru is not necessarily an ED stronghold because he's lost before to Chebundu. Do you think that President Emmerson Mnangagwa has now turned the hearts of the people in that constituency, in that area?
Okay, so first of all, let me categorize the Midlands province. Right now, Midlands province is a ZANU-PF province in Parliament. So ZANU-PF has 80 to 20 in Midlands right now. So when I say it's a stronghold for ED, as he mentioned earlier, ED represents the incumbency. So when ZANU-PF says, where are we strong, they count Midlands as one of those places, again, because of the 80-20. So we are strong as a party. The incumbency of the political party, ZANU-PF, is solid in Midlands. This is why. If you look at the numbers, if we're just talking on simple numerics of rally attendance, if you look at the numbers that Chamisa pulled at his rally today versus the numbers that Emmerson Mnangagwa pulled when he went to the same place, Emmerson Mnangagwa had more numbers. How and why the people came, I don't know. I wasn't there. So I don't know why people went to MDC. I don't know why people went to ZANU-PF. I'm just saying, for simply looking at the optics of the numbers, ZANU-PF had more numbers. So I call it a stronghold for that. Now, Emmerson Mnangagwa lost 2 times in the past. Yeah, he did. But if that's the fact we're pushing, then we must then say, hold on a minute. The same guy who you are saying is going to rig this election because he rigs elections failed to win in an election that he could have rigged, since those elections were rigged too. So how then do you balance me out on, so he rigs elections, but except his. He rigs every other election, just not his elections. So again, the logic defeats me, but most of the things that MDC does defy logic already. So I'm already defeated before I even try to understand.
Can we move on to the other rally that happened? That's the ZANU-PF rally by SB Moyo today in Gokwe.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
I was paying a lot of attention to SB's rally for a couple of reasons. One, where he decided to go and have a rally, that seat has never been in MDC's hands. So I am not surprised by the numbers because it's never been an MD. I mean, it's like if Chamisa comes and has a rally in Highfield, I expect Highfields to be beaming with the people. So I'm not surprised by the attendance of the rally. I was more interested in understanding the performance of SB Moyo. Why I'm interested in understanding the performance of SB Moyo is anybody who has heard the name SB Moyo, it's not a name synonymous with rallies. It's not a name synonymous with even speaking to crowds. It's a name synonymous with what happened in November. So I am very interested to see that how do these men transition from men of uniform to men of the crowd. It's the same way I would be as interested if my friend decided to transition from being a student to being a lawyer, from being a lawyer to being a politician. I wanted to understand that. Now, if you pay attention to SB's rally, he did one thing flawlessly. He stuck to the issues. He got up and he really just kind of kept himself to 3 issues. He spoke about what he's doing as foreign minister. He spoke about the engagements that's happening with the progress they've made, who they've met, who 5 years or 1 year ago we would have never even met in this country. He spoke about so he spoke about him out. Then he spoke about what happened from out coming in, who has been coming in, who is in the country right now. And he spoke about how that impacts even our tourism, how that impacts even our trade, how the trade bolster of the country has adjusted and shifted as a direct result of Zimbabwe opening itself up to making new friends. But lastly, he spoke about why this election mattered the most. And his reasoning of why this election mattered the most is he said the decision is simple. We are making a decision of fixing the broken promises. He recognized that there are promises that have been broken along the way. He took responsibility. I am always humbled by men in leadership who take responsibility, who can actually say, okay, you know what, on this one, we are sorry. And he took responsibility. He said, yes, under Mugabe, there were some errors. Yes, over the last 37 years, there were errors. But as of now, their only singular commitment is answering one question. How do we make the lives of Zimbabweans better?
I was going to ask you, do you think that the people have forgiven SB Moyo from being a man of uniform to now this man who says, who's speaking about investment, about the future of Zimbabwe? Do you suppose that with maybe some of the experiences that people might have had with the army before, do you think people have, the voters have hang-ups about it, or they're quite receptive to his message?
So, as a matter of personal opinion, SB Moyo is an unrehabilitated soldier who has got no business being involved in the day-to-day running of the government of Zimbabwe. But I said it's a matter of personal opinion. But now let me just jump in to respond to some of the issues raised by my colleague here. There is a promise that the people in the mold of SB Moyo are going around Zimbabwe selling. And this is a promise that they failed to deliver for all the time that they've been closely involved with the affairs of the country. They are outrageously terrifying allegations of corruption and looting, published not by Zimbabwe itself, but even by internationally renowned organizations, and attached to these men in uniform. To now think and try to fathom the idea of them restoring the economic sanity of this country is outrageous. I do not think they have the capacity. I think they are on a cleansing mission, like I mentioned in a previous debate, that they are on a cleansing mission of trying to regain the trust of the people of Zimbabwe. But the people of Zimbabwe will not be fooled this time around. The people of Zimbabwe will not be hoodwinked this time around. The people of Zimbabwe are clear as to who is the right alternative. They are clear as to who is the best foot forward. Did numbers come in at SB's rally? Yes, they did. But, well, I'm a political analyst too, so I've got to be fair. That's a stronghold for ZANU-PF. That place has always been a ZANU-PF seat. So people will obviously come. Whether they come out because they are intimidated, we don't know. But we know the violence that transpired. We know the murders. We know houses that were burned. We know what happened in Gokwe in 2008.
So who
it's
shall
horrifying.
We say won the day today? In terms of the two political parties, we had
obviously
it's
it's unfair to try and compare SB Moyo to Nelson Chamisa. It's unfair. But now that SB Moyo represents ZANU-PF as that was the only major highlight of today, I would say Nelson Chamisa carried the day. Let me also make a reference here that I know would nudge my brother Acie Lumumba here a little bit. We had one person in the mold of Sandy Moyo coming out today. I'll continue to make these references because they are significant, and I'll explain the significance. Sandy Moyo came out today and gave a speech, a solidarity speech. And I'm sure we all know who Sandy Moyo is. She's the former boss of the Women's League, Zanu PF, former top aide in ZAPU, rather. So she was in Midlands and she declared it. She spoke very eloquently in Ndebele and endorsed Nelson Chamisa. This represents, like what I said about Dabenkwa, the fragmentation of Zanu PF. The patriotic front does not hold. The patriotic front is falling away. Remember, these are the same people that Robert Gabriel Mugabe, president as he then was, tried to bring together into patriotic front because he realized that the only way to move the country forward was to incorporate everyone, Ndebele, Shangani, Venda, and come into a patriotic front. Now that patriotic front is falling away. It's an interesting development that we've got to comment on it on the political scene.
Acie, do you think that another endorsement, this time from Sandy Moyo for Nelson Chamisa, means he won the day?
I can't even get past the notion that agency disregarded the efforts, what he calls rehabilitation, of SB Moyo having the right temperament or the right mandate to be serving in government and working in this country. Please understand, SB Moyo has put himself in the line of fire ever since he was 16 years old. He was 16 years old when he decided to fight for this country. This man has lost brothers in the war. This man has had to survive jail. This very same man has served his whole life. His whole life he stood ready to fight for this country. Now, you look at any country you want to look at where you might want to celebrate and say, oh, these are the countries we look up to. Angola, which you mentioned earlier, is led by a man who's former military. The United States of America is on its 45th president, of which 42 of those presidents are all former military. You look at South Africa, former military. You look at Botswana, Ian Kama, who MDC loves a lot, former military. The notion that you would take a serviceman, a military man, decorated as much as SB Moyo, and you disregard him and bring him to that small extent where you and your 20-something years old know nothing about where this country has come from, and you degrade him to that level, I can't even get past that. I can't even get past the fact that if this is MD's attitude towards men who have fought, men and women, of course they won't regard the women, but men and women who fought for this country, then my God, I rest my case.
Well, I still need to know, who do you think won the day today?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Zanu PF stays winning all the time.
Well, we've come to the end of our show. I've been looking at our Facebook page here. There are no pictures yet. So I don't know whether to close this bet. When we started the show, for anyone who is just joining us, there was a bet between Acie, Lumumba and agency about the number of people that attended, white people that attended the MDC rally in Bulawayo yesterday. So we challenged people who went to the rally to say, if you've got any pictures of any white people, please put them on our Facebook page. I haven't seen any. If there are any, okay, we'll say, bring them in, keep posting. Maybe tomorrow we might have something.
It's okay. He will donate the $1,000 that he's supposed to pay us to MDC because clearly they need it right now. So you can donate that money to Chamisa, buddy. All right.
Agency, I think you better get that money and run with it.
Zip it
now. Here's your money. This man has Chamisa's money.
Zip it.
Well, we have had Team Agency in the house as well as Team Lumumba. And we've been asking you to choose as we debate and we look at the election playfield. Tomorrow we want to discuss, gentlemen, we want to look at the Virgil that Charlton Wende and Nelson Chamisa have called on to be held against ZEC.
Starting Tuesday.
Yes. So until tomorrow, stay tuned. Same time, we'll be here at 9 o'clock and we'd like you to join us. Thank you.
Head bowed.
Thank you.